Have you ever really thought about what it truly means to live in peace? I'm not just talking about a fleeting feeling of tranquility, but a deep and lasting peace, capable of keeping us steady even in the face of life's greatest storms. We live in a world filled with challenges, uncertainties, and constant pressures, making this quest for serenity essential. Often, we believe that peace lies in having total control over external circumstances, but the truth is that peace comes from within and does not depend on what happens around us. Stoicism, a practical and transformative philosophy, teaches us that the key to a peaceful life lies in mastering our minds and how we respond to situations. Great Stoic sages like Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus lived in times marked by many challenges, yet they found ways to cultivate this unshakable serenity. True peace is not the absence of problems, but the ability to face them without losing balance. In this video, we will explore how you can apply Stoic lessons to say goodbye to your problems and discover that inner peace we all seek. Get ready to learn how to face your challenges with serenity and confidence, following the example of these great thinkers. Before we begin, I want to know, are you ready to transform your life and embrace this inner peace? If yes, comment below with the secret phrase, "I have found my peace." This will be your commitment to this quest for serenity and self-mastery. Don't forget to leave a like to support the channel and subscribe for more reflections that can change the way you see life. Together, let's spread this message of wisdom and peace to as many people as possible. And now let's move on to the first lesson. 1. Live in the present and free your mind. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is our constant preoccupation with the past and the future. How many times have you found yourself reliving something that has already happened, blaming yourself or mentally replaying situations that cannot be changed? Or perhaps you worry about something yet to come, imagining all the possible negative scenarios. These thoughts take us away from the present, the only moment over which we have real control. Stoic philosophy teaches us that by fully living in the present, we free ourselves from these mental chains and find peace. Seneca warned of the danger of wasting our lives thinking about the future or regretting the past. He said, "Life is not short, but we waste it." The human mind naturally tends to wander, but the secret to living in peace is to bring it back to the present, to what is within our reach. When we focus on the present, we set aside unnecessary anxieties and become more aware of what surrounds us. This Stoic lesson of living in the present does not mean ignoring the future or forgetting the past, but rather facing them with balance. It's essential to learn from the past without clinging to it. The lessons from the past are important, but continuous suffering over something that cannot be changed is useless. Similarly, it's natural to plan for the future, but obsessing over it creates anxiety that paralyzes us. Stoicism teaches us to live each moment as if it were the last. Marcus Aurelius often reminds us how fragile life is. He said we must value each day as if it were the only one we have. This is not an invitation to despair, but a motivation to live with more attention and purpose. If you knew that every moment is precious, how would you appreciate it? True peace is born from the ability to accept the present as it is. By focusing on the here and now, you open up space to experience the fullness of life, free yourself from the unnecessary weight of worries, and align with the tranquility that has always been available. Living in the present with gratitude and awareness is one of the most beautiful gifts we can give ourselves and the key to a lighter and more peaceful life. 2. Acceptance is the secret to a free mind. Epictetus, one of the most respected Stoic philosophers, left us with a lesson that may seem simple but holds immense depth. There are things in life that are within our control, and there are others that are not. This truth is liberating because much of human suffering comes from the desire to control the uncontrollable. When we try to shape the world according to our will, we become frustrated. When we expect others to act according to our expectations, we are disappointed. And when we fight against events beyond our control, we remain trapped in a cycle of pain and frustration. Epictetus said, "It's not the things themselves that trouble us, but the judgments we make about them." In other words, it's not the event itself that brings suffering, but our interpretation of it. Accepting this reality is the key to a free and peaceful mind. Imagine how much anguish you could avoid if you simply accepted what you cannot change. The Stoics teach us that we should focus only on what is within our reach, our attitudes, thoughts, and reactions. Everything else is beyond our influence. The practice of acceptance does not mean resignation. It's not about conforming to circumstances and giving up all action. On the contrary, Stoicism encourages us to act wisely and use our power of choice, but only in areas under our control. When you accept what you cannot change, it frees you from the prison of despair and anxiety. You begin to see problems more clearly and can dedicate your energy to what truly makes a difference. Think of the times when you've worried about something beyond your control. It could have been another person's decision, an unforeseen event, or even a weather situation. In all these cases, your worry didn't change the course of events, but it certainly amplified your anxiety. By practicing acceptance, you free yourself from these unnecessary burdens. Accepting is actually an act of courage and strength because it requires humility to acknowledge that we do not have control over everything. Remember, true peace arises when we stop fighting the uncontrollable and focus on what truly matters, our choices and how we react to what life offers us. 3. The wisdom of seeing things from a distance. In times of crisis, it's common to be overwhelmed by the emotions of the moment. A problem that seems overwhelming can cloud our vision, causing us to lose control of our serenity. However, Stoic philosophy teaches us a valuable lesson. We must learn to see things from afar. Stepping back from problems allows us to regain clarity and act more wisely and rationally. As Marcus Aurelius said, retreat into yourself, and as soon as you are there, face your problems with wisdom. The first part of this lesson is understanding that we don't always see reality as it is. When we're immersed in a difficult situation, our emotions often prevent us from seeing things objectively. It's like trying to solve a puzzle while being too close to it. We need to step back, create some distance, to see the whole picture and find the solution more clearly. By creating this emotional distance, we stop being slaves to our immediate reactions and gain a new perspective on what's really happening. Imagine a ship in the middle of a storm. For those on deck, the winds and waves seem uncontrollable. However, if you step back and observe the ship from afar, the storm will still be there, but you'll be able to see that it's temporary and that there's a way out. The problem doesn't disappear, but your ability to face it wisely is strengthened. This metaphor can apply to your life. By creating distance between yourself and the problem, you become able to see it with more serenity and clarity, realizing that the storm will pass. The second point is to remember that not all problems are as serious as they seem. Often we amplify our challenges because of how we react to them. When we take emotional distance, we realize that some problems are less threatening than we thought. Marcus Aurelius firmly believed in this and frequently wrote in his journals to create this distance. He would note his thoughts and worries, analyze them rationally, and often discover that what seemed like great adversity was actually an opportunity to practice virtue. Another important aspect is patience. When we take a step back and look at challenges calmly, we realize that many of the problems we face can be resolved with time. There's no need to make hasty decisions or act impulsively. By adopting a patient and distant attitude, we allow emotions to calm down and reason to prevail. It's essential to remember that creating distance doesn't mean avoiding or fleeing from problems. It means, in reality, facing them more wisely. By stepping back emotionally, you're not ignoring reality, but rather gaining an advantage over it. You arm yourself with the clarity and discernment needed to deal effectively with any challenge. Next time you feel overwhelmed by a problem, remember to create that distance. Take a deep breath, observe the situation from afar, and realize that you have the power to control your reactions. This is the first step in transforming chaos into serenity and finding inner peace no matter the external situation. 4. Master your emotions and find serenity. We all face moments when emotions seem to take control of our actions: anger, frustration, fear, anxiety. These are natural feelings that, when uncontrolled, can divert us from the path of peace. However, Stoicism teaches us that we have the power to master our emotions, and by doing so, we can find serenity even in the most difficult situations. It's this emotional control that allows us to say goodbye to our problems, not because they disappear, but because we learn not to be controlled by them. Seneca wisely reminds us, "He who suffers before it is necessary suffers more than necessary." This phrase reveals the essence of how we react to our problems. Often, the pain we feel doesn't come from the event itself, but from how we allow our emotions to intensify the suffering. When we let fear, anger, or anxiety dominate, we increase our suffering. Stoicism teaches that the key to overcoming this lies in mastering these emotions, not by denying them, but by understanding and, most importantly, controlling them. Have you ever been in the middle of a difficult situation, like an argument with a friend or a problem at work? It's easy to let anger or frustration dictate how you react. However, the Stoics advise that during times of tension, we should first pause and reflect. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Anger may invade you, but mastering it will bring you true victory." It's not about ignoring what you feel, but about recognizing these emotions without letting them control your actions. A valuable practice for this is emotional detachment. By observing your emotions as if you were a spectator, you place yourself in a position of control. When anger arises, for example, ask yourself, is this emotion helping me solve the problem, or is it only amplifying the chaos? Often this simple reflection prevents us from acting impulsively, and in doing so, we preserve our inner peace. The Stoics also suggest that we should accept emotions as part of the human experience, but never let ourselves be chained by them. If you feel fear in the face of a situation, instead of fighting against this feeling, acknowledge it as a natural response. However, remember that you have the power to choose how to react. Fear may be a powerful emotion, but you can choose to face it with courage rather than letting it paralyze your actions. Another Stoic technique for emotional control is negative visualization. This means that from time to time, we should imagine the worst possible scenarios, not to be pessimistic, but to mentally prepare ourselves for challenges. Epictetus advised the practice of thinking about obstacles before facing them, so that when they arise, we're ready and emotionally balanced. Thus, when real problems appear, we're not surprised by intense emotions. We're already mentally prepared to face them with serenity. One of Stoicism's most important teachings is the understanding that while we can't control external events, we can control our internal reactions. This simple yet profound truth gives us the power to transform even the most difficult situations into opportunities for personal growth. When we learn to master our emotions, we create an inner space of calm where problems have no power over us. This is true peace, a peace that comes from self-mastery and serenity amidst chaos. By applying this practice daily, you'll find that problems that once seemed insurmountable are now just challenges you can face with calm and wisdom. Emotional mastery is one of the most powerful keys to living in peace, and it's something that is within reach for each of us. 5. Cultivate virtue as the foundation of peace. The quest for peace often leads us to seek answers in external places, a materially comfortable life, perfect relationships, or even the recognition of others. But the great Stoic sages teach us that true peace doesn't depend on external factors, but on virtue. Virtue in Stoicism is moral excellence and the constant practice of wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance. When we live according to these principles, we find a peace that cannot be shaken by the world's circumstances. Marcus Aurelius reminds us that virtue is sufficient for happiness. This may seem like a difficult concept to accept in a world that teaches us to seek happiness in material things. However, the Stoics believed that true happiness and inner peace result from living a virtuous life, where our actions align with the principles of reason and morality. Take a moment to reflect on what life would be like without being controlled by external desires or the fear of difficulties. When you focus on virtue, you begin to govern yourself instead of being governed by circumstances. If a problem arises, you don't falter, because you understand that the only thing truly under your control is your response to that problem. If someone treats you unjustly, you don't lose your calm because your inner peace doesn't depend on the actions of others, but on your own integrity. Epictetus reminds us that no one is free until he is master of himself. This is the key to true peace. By practicing virtue daily, we become masters of our emotions and actions. We stop reacting impulsively to situations and start acting deliberately and rationally. This calm deliberation gives us a sense of control over our lives, and that control is the very essence of serenity. But what does it mean to live virtuously in practice? It means making decisions based on reason, not on fleeting emotions. It means acting justly in all situations, even when it's difficult to do so. It means having the courage to face what is necessary without fleeing from challenges. And above all, it means practicing temperance, the ability to moderate oneself and not give in to excess, whether of pleasure or pain. By incorporating these values into your life, you build a solid foundation that won't be shaken by life's storms. Virtue also teaches us to do good without expecting external rewards. Many of our problems arise from expecting to be rewarded for what we do. We want recognition, we want gratitude, we want immediate results. But virtue, according to the Stoics, is a reward in itself. Doing good, acting with justice, and being morally upright brings an inner satisfaction that no wealth or fame can offer. When you live according to virtue, your problems seem to lose the intensity they once had. This happens because virtue places us in a state of emotional balance. The small things that once unsettled us now seem insignificant because we focus on something much greater, living a worthy and virtuous life. It's this awareness of doing what's right that brings us peace. So if you want to find true peace, start with virtue. Practice wisdom, justice, courage, and temperance every day. Each time you choose virtue over impulsive reaction, you build a solid path toward inner peace. And as Marcus Aurelius taught us, this peace is the greatest happiness we can achieve. 6. The wisdom of daily reflection. Peace is not a destination you reach and stay at forever. It's an ongoing state that must be cultivated every day. One of the most powerful practices the Stoics have left us is daily reflection. Through it, you can revisit your actions, thoughts, and emotions, ensuring that your choices always align with your values and principles. Marcus Aurelius found in nightly introspection a way to keep his mind balanced and his soul at peace, despite the immense challenges he faced. Daily reflection is a kind of emotional cleansing. When you take a few minutes to connect with yourself and analyze what you've done throughout the day, you're actually freeing yourself from burdens that could turn into bigger problems. Through reflection, you identify mistakes and learn from them before they become major obstacles. You also recognize your victories and appreciate moments of virtue, thus strengthening your commitment to moral excellence. Daily reflection is not just about what you did, but also about what you felt. Often, the problems we carry come from unresolved emotions, repressed feelings that accumulate. By giving yourself the opportunity to process these emotions at the end of the day, you prevent them from turning into anxieties that disturb your peace. Marcus Aurelius did this in his journal, and his writings, now known as meditations, reflect the depth of this practice. He didn't write for the public, but for himself, to remind himself of the lessons he needed to apply in his life. In doing so, he found clarity and serenity amid the turbulence of his reign. You can adopt this practice in your own life simply. At the end of the day, take a few minutes in a quiet space to reflect on your actions, thoughts, and feelings. Ask yourself, did I act in line with my principles? Were my reactions guided by reason or emotion? Am I living according to my values? This practice of self-reflection will allow you to adjust your course daily, bringing you closer and closer to inner peace. Daily reflection also offers an opportunity to practice gratitude. Often we are quick to identify problems, but slow to recognize the blessings in our lives. During these moments of introspection, you can ask yourself, what brought me joy today? What challenges did I overcome? By practicing gratitude, you shift your perspective from difficulties to the positive aspects, which helps to maintain a peaceful mind. Daily reflection creates a deeper connection with your own essence. By disconnecting from external distractions and turning inward, you find answers and solutions often hidden beneath the surface. Epictetus teaches us that true power lies in controlling our reactions, and the best way to master this is through constant introspection. By reflecting daily, you strengthen your ability to maintain control over your emotions, and consequently, you find a peace that cannot be shaken by external events. Making daily reflection part of your routine is one of the surest paths to cultivating inner peace. It's not just about examining what went wrong or what can be improved, but also about celebrating small progress, recognizing your virtues and connecting with what truly matters. Just as Marcus Aurelius did each evening, you too can use this practice to purify your mind and strengthen your spirit, ensuring that upon waking, you're ready to face the world with serenity and wisdom. 7. Finding peace in simplicity. The complexity of modern life leads us to believe that the more we accumulate, whether material goods, responsibilities, or status, the happier and more fulfilled we will be. But is that really true? Stoicism teaches us the opposite. True peace lies in simplicity. The simpler your life is, the fewer concerns you have. For Marcus Aurelius, simplicity was a fundamental virtue, and he believed that by simplifying our actions and thoughts, we come closer to true happiness. Let's reflect. What is truly essential for living well? Often our problems arise because we pursue things that deep down we don't really need. Seneca said, "It takes very little to live in accordance with nature." Excess desires, unreachable goals, and unrealistic expectations consume us, and we find ourselves constantly chasing after something that, once attained, brings only fleeting satisfaction. Soon after, we're seeking something else, as if life were an endless race to always have more. Imagine the relief of simplifying your life, removing the excess, and focusing on what truly matters. This doesn't mean giving up all your ambitions, but rather being selective and mindful of where you invest your time and energy. By freeing ourselves from the weight of having and focusing on being, we find a serenity that cannot be bought or externally conquered. To begin applying this principle in practice, ask yourself, what do you really need to live in peace? Are all the commitments, objects, and relationships around you truly necessary? Perhaps the pursuit of more things and more achievements creates more stress than satisfaction. Simplifying means eliminating what is superfluous, focusing on what is essential for your happiness and tranquility. Imagine how much lighter your mind would be without the constant pressure of always wanting more. Seneca reminds us that the possession of many goods does not make a man happy. What makes him happy is the wise use of what he has. This means that it's not about the quantity of things we possess, but how we use and appreciate what we already have. Contentment comes from a mind that values simplicity and sobriety. By eliminating excess from our lives, whether material objects, unnecessary commitments, or negative thoughts, we create space for true peace to flourish. Simplicity is also directly linked to detachment, a central concept in Stoicism. When we become attached to what we possess, whether material goods, relationships, or even ideas, we create fertile ground for anxiety. The fear of losing these things becomes a burden we carry, depriving us of our peace. By learning to detach from what is transient, we discover that what remains is what has always been essential: our mind, our virtue, and our ability to live in harmony with ourselves and the world. In conclusion, simplicity is a conscious choice we can make every day. The fewer distractions and complications we put into our lives, the more space we create for serenity and inner peace. Start practicing this simplicity in small things. Organize your space, simplify your schedule, and most importantly, simplify your mind. By doing so, you'll discover that peace doesn't reside in seeking more, but in appreciating what is already enough. 8. Transform challenges into inner strength. Life's challenges can feel like great mountains we must climb. Often, the weight of problems seems overwhelming, and it's natural that our first reaction is to try to avoid them. However, Stoicism teaches us to view adversity in an entirely different light, not as an obstacle to fear, but as an opportunity to grow and strengthen. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's greatest representatives, offers us a powerful phrase: "The obstacle is the way." These words invite us to see what seems like a barrier as the very path of our development. Imagine a life where every challenge becomes an opportunity to improve your virtues and strengthen your spirit. When we adopt this Stoic mentality, problems cease to be monsters that scare us and become tools for our growth. It's easy to think that peace can only exist in the absence of problems, but Stoics believe exactly the opposite. True peace arises when you master the art of transforming adversity into a source of inner strength. Think about the times in your life when you faced difficult situations, the loss of a loved one, a financial crisis, a collapsing relationship. At the time, it seemed as though you were on the verge of breaking, but over time, you realized that you overcame these challenges and, more importantly, that you emerged stronger from them. This is the essence of the Stoic lesson. Adversity is a powerful teacher, and every problem brings with it an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow. It's important to remember that problems don't disappear, but your perception of them changes. Marcus Aurelius faced many difficulties during his reign as emperor, but he used each of these challenges as an opportunity to practice Stoic virtues. For him, ruling wasn't just about managing political and military matters, but also about mastering himself. Every obstacle was a chance to practice patience, courage, self-control, and wisdom. Thus, Stoicism invites us to see difficulties as a training ground for the soul. But how do we transform adversity into strength? The first step is acceptance. When you stop resisting what's happening and accept that challenges are part of life, you free yourself from the additional suffering created by resistance. Once we accept the challenge, the next step is to use it as an opportunity to practice virtue. If you're facing a difficult situation, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I grow through this experience? By taking this proactive approach, you begin to transform your problems into stepping stones for personal growth. No matter the size of the challenge, each one offers a valuable lesson. Stoicism also reminds us that true strength comes from within. Rather than seeking external solutions, turn inward and discover your capacity to overcome. Problems may seem immense at first glance, but when you reconnect with your inner strength, you realize you have the power to face any adversity. So, the next time you encounter an obstacle, remember, the obstacle is the way. Every challenge is a chance to strengthen your spirit, refine your virtues, and find deeper peace within yourself. By embracing adversities, you transform into someone more resilient, wise, and at peace with life. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true peace doesn't come from the absence of problems, but from how we choose to face them. By applying these Stoic lessons in our daily lives, we can learn to live in peace even amid life's adversities and storms. It's not about avoiding or eliminating challenges, but about finding serenity and balance in all situations that arise. As Epictetus said, "Inner peace begins the moment you choose not to allow another person or event to control your emotions." This choice is what allows you to live fully and peacefully. If you've made it this far, it means you're committed to finding this inner peace and following the Stoic path. So, leave the secret phrase in the comments, "I watched until the end," and show that you're ready to embrace wisdom and balance in your life. And of course, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel to continue receiving more inspiring and profound content. Your interaction is essential for this message to reach more people who are also seeking peace in their lives. Together, we can spread this Stoic wisdom and transform the way we face our challenges. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.